So who's gonna win this comparison? macOS or Windows? Let's find out. What's up guys, and welcome to my new video. You already read the title, so this one is gonna be a video of comparison between my desktop PC with Windows, it's a custom build one, and the new MacBook Pro with the M1 chip from Apple. So you already know the specs of the MacBook. This one, it's the 8GB model of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. I'm gonna put all my specs of my desktop PC with Windows down below in the description. So if you are interested on what I have in my PC, just check down below in the description. So as I said already in my last video, my Windows PC, it's a custom build. It was built for gaming and also working on videos, so video editing and photo editing sometimes. And so it's very powerful. You can see the specs down below. As I said, I want to just do a comparison between that one and the new MacBook Pro, because you know, actually the prices of the two are very similar. In fact, the PC, the custom build, I just did pay that one. I think it was like 50 euros less than the MacBook Pro. So but also we have to say that these two are just different systems, so they work very different. And actually you have to consider that the MacBook Pro is a laptop, so you have your screen, you have your peripherals all included, so you just pay for an all-in-one, we can say that. And with the PC you just have the PC and that's it. You don't have the screen, you don't have a mouse and keyboard, so you have to buy those things apart from that. You have to consider this one. And actually, if I consider all my peripherals and everything, probably my Windows PC, it's more expensive than a MacBook Pro. So actually I decided to test these two machines with some synthetic benchmarks, because with this you can see the raw numbers between the Windows machine and that macOS laptop, so you can see better the difference. And actually I started my benchmarks with a very used benchmark, that is GeekBench. So GeekBench can test both single core performance and also multi-core performance. It can also test your GPU power. So I just did the test with the GPU only with the OpenCL, so I can do the comparison between the two, because one is working with Metal, so macOS is working with Metal. So any games that runs on macOS are running by the Metal graphics system, we can say. And also my graphic card on the Windows PC is running on Vulkan. So I could do the comparison between these two things, but I think it wouldn't make sense. So actually the single core performance, as you can see, I'm gonna put everything on the screen, so you can also not listen to me and just watch the numbers. So for the single core, actually you can see the difference pretty much there, because with the Windows PC I get less performance in single core, and I was surprised by this MacBook Pro, because this core in single core is very good, I think. And actually you can see there is the same difference in the multi-core score, because it's pretty much the same numbers. And actually the very big difference between these two machines are actually the GPU performance. So as you can see, the GPU from my desktop PC, it's very powerful. It's just a dedicated GPU, so the score doesn't surprise me. But actually the score from the MacBook is not too bad. I mean, it could be better, but for an all-in-one chip, it's very good. And also I did test with the Metal engine on this, and it got like a little bit more points on the graphic part, but nothing special. But as I said, it's not very bad for this GPU that is just integrated with the CPU and all the rest, because this is like an all-in-one chip. So the performance with this is pretty surprising, and actually it's a positive surprise. Also, I did test these two devices with the Cinebench. I just did the multi-core test, and I will put also here some images so you can see those things. And the difference here is pretty big, because the Mac has like only 8 cores, and actually they are not all high performance. So I think they have like 4 core for high performance, and the other 4 are just for we can say low performance. So here the difference is pretty big because of my desktop PC. I have like 8 core and 16 threads. So the difference in the scores are pretty big, and actually you could not see that, but on my Windows PC I just got, in 10 minutes I just got 9 passes on Cinebench, and on the macOS I just got 5 passes. So it's a very big difference. But actually here it doesn't surprise me, because we can say that for all this application you have to think that they haven't been already updated with the latest version for the M1 chip. You just have to think that, and they are not optimized for that. We have to wait a little bit more to see all the application just updated for this chip. And so, as I said before, these are just synthetic tests and they just show some numbers. It's just to do some comparison and just to give you an idea. Also, I did test some video rendering time on DaVinci Resolve, because I will do another video on the video editing on this machine, on the macOS machine. And so I will test like Lightroom and Premiere Pro on that video in specific. So if you want to see that, just leave a like and subscribe to this channel so you will not miss this video. And actually, as I was saying, I did test some video rendering time on DaVinci Resolve. I just opened DaVinci Resolve, and I think some days ago Blackmagic Studios just updated the public beta version of DaVinci. I think it's the 17 version of DaVinci Resolve. And actually I did update before doing this test, and I have the stable version on the desktop machine. So I did test to render a 30-second file. It was like already compressed file. It's an H.264 file. I did export it in the same settings between the two. The Mac, it took like 3 seconds less than the Windows machine. So this is very surprising, and actually the public beta of DaVinci Resolve is slightly optimized for the M1 chip, so the difference is there. I could see also when I was scrubbing between the clips, when I was like getting in playback the clip, so I could see the difference between the macOS and the desktop version. The difference is there. I just tested the 30-second clip, but this is just a test that could indicate that if you render like a 30-min clip, it will take also less time than Windows machine to render. I'm sure of it, because as I said, on DaVinci is one of the few softwares that are just optimized for the M1 chip, and still they are in beta, so they are not fully optimized, but you can see the difference, because you will see in the next video on Premiere Pro the difference is pretty big between Windows and macOS, because it's not optimized. So on the macOS, it's running through the Rosetta emulator, we can say, or translator, so you cannot compare the two systems. And actually, I have to add something on DaVinci, because on the macOS, it's in beta, so when you try to import some big clips, big files, for example, some files from this GH5S, I had the problem, so it could not import any files, so I could not see any files on the timeline. And also, if I managed to import some files in the software, it actually says like no media, so the files has only the audio, and it doesn't show up any video. So there was a big problem. I just could test only this short file because of that. And actually, I think this is a problem from the beta version, but I don't think there was a problem from the macOS system, but only a problem of a better version of DaVinci, or maybe something not optimized correctly for the M1 chip. Also, I did test some speed for the web browsing, and actually you can test those things. It's very fast, it's very easy, because you do write on Google Speedometer 2.0, and you just click Start Test, and the browser will just test your speed on browsing and actually gives you some results. And on the Windows machine, I just had the result of 134.9. I think it's actually good, maybe, I don't know. This was on Chrome, and actually on the MacBook I just got on Chrome also 208. The difference, it's pretty big. I don't know why, but I can feel that on MacBook the web browsing it's faster. And actually I did test also on Safari, because I don't use Safari, as I said on my last video, and it's actually faster. And I got also 226, and so the difference is pretty big also between Chrome and Safari in macOS. And I don't know why this big difference, but you know, it's there and you can feel it just a bit. I mean, it's not that you cannot use Chrome on Windows machine, but you can see that on MacBook, on this MacBook, it's a little bit faster, but not too much. One more thing that I tested was the SSD writing speed and read speed. So I will just put some screen maybe or videos of the test right here, and I have like similar SSD. My main SSD, it's an NVMe by Samsung, so it's pretty fast. You can see the read speed, it's very good. The write speed, it's there, but actually you have to think that this hard drive, it's a little bit old now. So, and the MacBook is a new one, and you can see the results are very similar. So I can tell that in the MacBook Pro, they are putting a good SSD. And in fact, you can see that it's very powerful and very fast. So when you move documents around, and also when you move around documents between the Mac and external SSD or hard drive. So last thing you have to consider between these two machines is not a real comparison, but it's a big thing to most people. And so this is the power consumption. It's very important. And also you have to consider that this is a laptop and this is a desktop. So you can carry the laptop around where you want, because this is also a 13-inch laptop. So it's very comfortable to just carry it around. It's just very lightweight, so it doesn't bother you at all. I can tell you that my desktop machine in idle, its consumption, it's around maybe 150 watts. So it's not too good if you compare to the MacBook Pro, because I think in idle, this device is consuming around like 5 or 6 watts. You have to consider that probably your light bulb in your house is consuming like more energy than your laptop, because most of the lights are consuming just around 10 watts. So yeah, the difference here is pretty big. And in full load, my desktop machine, it's really angry of energy, because it's consuming around like 400 watts and maybe more, depends on what I'm doing and if I'm playing, if I'm working very hard, and depends on the stress on the CPU and GPU, because those are the most power consumption things in the system. And talking about the Mac, the maximum it can reach, it's around like 35 watts. If you have like 3 lights on in your house, they probably spend like more energy than your MacBook when it is in full load. So this is a pretty big difference. But of course, my desktop machine, I can throw pretty much anything to it and it just can handle everything. And this laptop, you can throw just certain things and it just can handle perfectly for now. We have to still wait for the optimization of everything. You cannot work with everything on this laptop also for the optimization, for the raw power, for maybe just the small screen. So you have to keep that in mind. And as well as power consumption, we have of course the heat and noise factor, because this is a very big difference. Also as well as the power consumption, because with this laptop you will not hear pretty much anything in any time, or anything you throw on this laptop is not gonna make any noise. It has a fan inside, but it's very silent. I think it's the best one on the market. I have to install some temperature controller on this laptop, because I'm not sure how many degrees it's getting when it's fully loaded, but the laptop is just a little bit warmer when you do like heavy work, and so I think it's not too much. And this is a good thing, because if the fan spins like slowly and it's not making any noise, and also it's not getting very hot, I think it's a good thing. If you compare it to my desktop machine, that is actually making noise, I think 24/7, because when you just power on this machine, it's just making noise, because I mean, I have just 3 fans on just my GPU. So if you consider 3 fans on the GPU, 1 more on CPU and 2 more to just cool down the system on the case itself. So you can just imagine the difference between these two for the noise, and also for the heat of my desktop. I mean, I've just built it, so I just thought of all the airflow and the cable management, so the temperatures are good. But of course, I think we cannot compare those to the laptop, because it's literally another world. So I'm not gonna go through that, but I'm just gonna say that the laptop is very good on this side. It's very, very good. And as I said at the beginning, these two devices are just different, very different systems, and also are different for use. As I'm doing right now, I will do just documents and maybe small editing and stuff like that on the MacBook Pro, and all the heavy work I will do it on the desktop machine. So for now, you cannot just have one of these devices if you are doing heavy work, but if you are doing light work, I think if you buy one of these new MacBook, you will be okay. I mean, it's perfect, and probably in time, as I said before, it's gonna be better. As I said in my previous video, the battery is just insane. But if you have to do like heavy video editing or photo editing, maybe more like video editing, because videos take like more power on the device. And of course, you have to consider for video editing, if you are using Final Cut, that I don't use because I use Premiere Pro. If you use Final Cut, that is one of the software optimized 100%, I think, on the M1 chip. So if you have to edit pretty much anything on Final Cut, you can do that because it's capable. I've tried. Maybe I will talk about also Final Cut in my next videos. But if you are doing work on Premiere Pro or maybe DaVinci, I don't know, Avid and stuff like that, I think you will need a Windows machine for now, or maybe a more powerful MacBook. That I think it's just only the 16 inches MacBook Pro, I guess. So those were my conclusion. And as I said before, if you want to see more videos on this machine, because it's very interesting, just subscribe right now, because you're not gonna miss any content. And also hit a like if you like this video. I just spent so much time to do that, because this benchmark took so much time to do. And if you have any question or anything to ask, just write it down in the comment section. And I think for now that's it, and see you in the next video. Bye guys.